not be the last pandemic that we face. Pandemics can come from natural causes, which is largely coming across from other species. A flu, for example, is still a very big risk. And so we'll have to invest in making sure that we catch the disease sooner and that we have platforms to make diagnostics, therapeutics, and vaccines very quickly. Very little was invested, even though there were these calls by a lot of people, including our foundation. One group that was funded, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovation, CEPI, CEPI, we, Wellcome Trust, Norway, UK, Japan were the initial funders, and that is helping out here. So we're better off than if that hadn't happened. But, people trust government to think through these eventual bad things. This was a failure to get ready, and the cost would have been tiny compared to, say, what we spend on being ready for war. We didn't actually do the simulation to think about, okay, what about nursing homes? What about getting factories ready? What about the testing regime? In fact, the testing could have been ramped up very quickly, and a few countries that have almost avoided the epidemic entirely, like Taiwan, New Zealand, Australia, they took their experience and actually prepared, and so they moved a lot faster. So we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, I'd say is will get attention this time.
Shalom, Shalom Israel. I am the brother Yawana from the Great Millstone, Arizona camp, coming back at y'all with Lord's will, another edifying lesson. First and foremost, as always, before I start, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and infinite glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachach Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, our teachers. Shalom to you brothers pushing and teaching this truth across the four winds of this earth. And as always, peace, blessings, and many salutations be to you sincere Akiyama Akwath, you brothers, along with you few sisters, who are given all diligence in these last days. Right, through the mercy and grace of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, through his only beloved begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Coming back with another updated prophecy type lesson. And this is pretty much going to be a lesson concerning, this plague, right, that seems to be going around, okay, amongst animals, right, and also, as I have an article, it's also taking place within insects as well, with these spiders. And, first I want to start with this one because this is the first one I had seen, all right, a couple days ago. I believe today is the 22nd, right, let me see, let me just fact check that. Yeah, 22nd, August 22nd, yep. So this is August 20th, right, this is fresh off the press, right, and it's on endtimeheadlines.org, and it reads, on the headline, mutant deer with horrifying flesh bubbles spotted in multiple U.S. states as fears of an outbreak grip the nation. Okay, it says deer across the U.S. have been spotted with tumor-like growths hanging off their bodies, joining rabbits and squirrels as animals showing signs of a widespread disease. So this is, taking place across the states, man. This isn't just in one area. Okay, it's not just in one town. Okay, it's across the states. All right, and it's growing amongst animals. It says from the northeast to the Pacific Northwest. Pictures on social media continue to document cases of strange bubbles growing all over local deer, from their faces to their legs. Over the last 2 months, people have photographed deformed deer in New York, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Wildlife officials have already identified the condition as deer cutaneous fibroma, better known as deer warts. The condition is due to a virus transmitted between deer in all parts of the U.S., and experts have warned that it's spreading this summer. The virus mainly spreads through disease-carrying insects like mosquitoes and ticks, which pass on the blood of infected deer to healthy animals nearby. Since these potentially deadly pests breed and multiply in warmer weather, Americans should expect to see more cases of the condition wherever deer may live. And I believe these, I started seeing these tumor-like flesh bubbles, okay, as they were saying on rabbits, all right, or little bunnies, all right, how, they were having these deformed tentacle-like, things on their faces and their bodies, man. And now we're seeing it within the deer. And I believe that was like almost a week ago with those rabbits, man. All right, so whatever this is, the Lord is causing it, to spread, which at the end of the day, we understand, Esau, right, the so-called white man, they have, different viruses and diseases, contained within little test tubes, all right, and pretty much, secured within their, I don't even know what you would say, within their facilities that they're able to unleash, okay, plagues that, came and gone. Esau, has them, stored somewhere, and at any moment he could, unleash it, right, and blame it on whatever he wants, man. But at the end of the day, even though Edom has the ability, the Lord allowed him the ability to have diseases stored up and, ready at his disposal. The Lord is behind everything, man. Okay, scriptures say, Sirach, the 18th chapter, right, all things obey his will concerning the will of the Lord, man. Right, so even if Edom is behind this, all right, at the end of the day, Yahweh Shemiel Shai controls all things. So just wanted to throw that out there. It says the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife said papillomas are most frequently seen during the late summer and into the fall, probably due to increased biting insect activity during the time of year. It says this year Americans have also been encountering mutated rabbits, and squirrels, which have been spreading their own species-specific viruses throughout the U.S. These animals have dealt with similar sores and growths on their bodies as well. The condition spreading through deer this summer is part of the same broad family of viruses that can affect humans, known as papillomo. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Papillomaviruses, which target the skin and mucous membranes. You see that? So now they're saying that this same condition that's spreading throughout these deer and other animals can also, affect humans, right? It says in humans, papillomaviruses cause conditions like common warts, plantar warts, and genital warts, and some strains are linked to cancer such as cervical or throat cancer. While both deer and human papillomaviruses, Salakia, led to growths by infecting skin cells, the deer version is species specific, meaning it's adapted only to infect deer and cannot jump to humans or other animal due to differences in how the viruses attach itself and enter cells in different species. So we just have to see, okay, over time, what's going to ultimately happen, okay, with this whole little outbreak. Because as we see here, more pictures, right, and this is also on endtimeheadlines.org, right, from August 20th. It says squirrels covered in oozing pus-filled sores spotted across America and Canada. So not even just in America, but also in Canada, this plague, upon these animals is taking place. It says a plague of terrifying zombie squirrels has gripped backyards across America. Squirrels may look cute with their big bushy tails on a good day, but these ones have been seen covered with ghastly pus-filled tumors. These grotesque sores make the animals look like something out of a zombie apocalypse. Pictures show them absolutely coated in these unsightly growths around their heads and limbs. Homeowners in the U.S. and Canada have spotted these disfigured rodents, leading to panic speculation as to what's wrong with them. Sightings of the diseased squirrels date as far back as 2023 in Maine, the Daily Mail has reported. One Reddit user, at first I thought it was eating something from my beds, but then I realized it was on its face. But while the descriptor of zombie squirrel has taken off online, wildlife experts think there's a specific condition they have. Squirrel fibromatosis has been identified as a likely culprit, a skin condition that caused by lepropox virus. It spreads through direct contact between healthy squirrels and lesions or saliva on those that are infected. So a lot of what they're saying is pretty much, up in the air. It's speculation as far as, to what's causing it, but they can just assume. But at the end of the day, man, this is a plague that Yahweh Shemiel Shai is sending. And we could very well see this, transmit or transfer to, affect humans. All right. And eventually, if that were to happen, and once that happens, okay, they're gonna call another epidemic again. I don't want to say the word. All right, but this is the last article I have, just on this topic. All right, this is from the 21st of August this month, and it says spiders infected by never before seen fungus invading American homes. Yeah, so even spiders, okay, are being seen. So this is something, to pay attention to and to watch to see, what's gonna happen next. All right, it says a mysterious fungus is turning spiders into real-life zombies, consuming their organs and taking control of their behavior. And I want to say, for those of you that never played the game, I think it's called The Last of Us. I'm gonna ask a question real quick. How did The Last of Us virus start, right? Because in this game, it's pretty much called The Last of Us, and it's like a survival apocalypse type of game. And I believe there was a fungus that had, attached to humans and caused humans to essentially turn into zombies. And I haven't played the game, so I'm roughly paraphrasing, the game and what it's about. But for those of you that played it, you understand what I'm talking about. It says in The Last of Us, the cordyceps fungal infection started when a mutated strain of the fungus tainted food, likely from ingredients like flour or sugar, leading to a global through the food supply chain. You see, that's pretty much it. See, I was just as I'm doing this lesson, I'm thinking about this game, but I wonder if there was any similarities. I probably gotta do a little bit more digging, to make some more comparisons. But nevertheless, I'm just thinking about this game because there was some kind of fungal infection that took place and it affected humans and turned them right into zombies. So I was just sitting reading these articles thinking about that game, because this could very well take place like that game, man, and this disease or this plague transfer to humans, okay, which is going to cause another epidemic. Is going to cause global panic. It's going to cause lockdowns and restrictions, curfews, okay, heightened surveillance, which really at the end of the day, we understand that another of Cyrus is coming, because what did Bill Gates say during the time of the C-19, right? He said that this Cyrus isn't getting a lot of people's attention, okay, but the next one will. All right, I might even clip that in at the beginning of this video, okay, because he basically said that there is going to be another pandemic, okay, there is going to be another time, right, where there's going to be another, virus out there, okay, and it's not going to be light, all right, it's not going to be, something that can just be, overlooked, okay, it's going to be the real deal, all right, really the whole C-19 crisis was really just a test run, by the elites, okay, by the global powers that be, to see how people would react, all right, to see how people would obey, and then ultimately to see, how people would, ultimately, change, in the event of a severe global crisis, which at the end of the day, the scriptures say, if adversity come upon thee, you shall find him there first. So Esau's, behind a lot of these, different global crises, man, and that goes into their whole order ab chaos, right? Order out of chaos. Okay, they create the problem, they get a reaction from the people, and then they come with a solution as though, as if they weren't the ones that created the problem, but they were. All right, they always want to be seen as the heroes, but they're really just the villains, man. Okay, deceiving you people into believing that they're here for your best interest, but it's not. It's the complete opposite, man. All right, but nevertheless, let's keep going. It says, known as Gibella atinbarohi, the fungus attaches to the spider, invades its body, and devours it from the inside out. It then manipulates the spider's brain chemistry, altering dopamine levels to force the insect out of its web and into the open, where it ultimately dies. Afterward, the fungus sprouts fruiting bodies from the corpse, releasing spores to infect new spiders and continue its deadly cycle. Researchers said it is difficult to determine how long the zombie spiders survive, but some estimates suggest that they may live for up to 3 weeks. Americans have found the white, encrusted corpse in their attics and crawl spaces. People in the UK have spotted them in gardens and caves, and residents of the Czech Republic have reported infected spiders in their basements. So again, the UK, the Czech Republic, man, hey, all over the world, these different, mutations are being found within these animals, right? And now even within these spiders. It says scientists stress that G. atibori poses no threat of turning humans into zombie-like, and the popular video game turned HBO series The Last of Us. Oh, that's the spirit. I was just talking about that, man. Because that's what I was thinking of. I haven't played the game, but I've seen a lot of gameplay from it over the years. It's an older game. And they recently, I believe like a year or two ago, made an HBO series on it. All right, it says, poses no threat of turning humans into zombies, like in the popular video game turned HBO series The Last of Us, where a fungus infects people, it takes control of their minds, and sparks a global apocalypse. Now, they're saying one thing, right, that it's not going to happen, but they don't know, okay? Because the scriptures say in Lamentations, the 3rd chapter, who is he that commandeth a thing, and the Lord commandeth it not, right? So you may say it's not going to happen, or, prime example, like these prophecies, a lot of people don't believe they're going to happen, and they say, and they speak against them, and they talk shit, and they scoff, but at the end of the day, these prophecies still kicking off, man. So even if, you may have the opinion, well, okay, well, this isn't going to turn, and, it's not going to turn into and affect humans. Well, the Lord may have the plan that it will, so, hey, we'll just have to, scripture say we know in part and we prophesy in part, we just our job is to just blow the trumpet and warn about these things, right? So that you believers out there can stay updated and in tune with the signs of the times, okay, and be ready for whatever may transpire after that, man. Right? It says, Jao Aruhu, I'm probably saying that so wrong, a mycologist at the Natural History Museum of Denmark, said infecting humans would require many, many millions of years of genetic modifications. The fungus was first brought to light during filming in 2021 of the BBC's nature documentary Winter Watch in Northern Ireland, where an infected spider was spotted on the ceiling of an abandoned gunpowder store. Let's go down. It says, Evans told Live Science the fungus penetrates the spider's body and invades its hemocell, the cavity that carries the inner vertebrae's blood-like fluid. That's pretty much the point, man, So there's a plague, being seen amongst animals, okay, deer, rabbits, right, squirrels, and now even spiders, man, right? They said they've seen it before, but now we're seeing it, pretty much grow like never before. So this is all a part of biblical prophecy, man. And the Lord has sent pestilence before. And I want to get this word pestilence. Matter of fact, let's get it. Right. And this is on the etymologydictionary.com. For the word pestilence, it says 13th century. Any infectious or contagious disease. Fatal epidemic. Okay, plague. You see that? Infected, noxious, deadly disease. And that's what we're seeing right now with this whole, fungus, okay, or mutation that's taking place across these animals and insects, man. And what did the Lord say? This is 2 Ezra 15 and verse 5. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world. The sword, famine, death, and destruction. So the Lord is bringing these plagues. Okay, the Lord is bringing this pestilence, okay, this deadly disease, all right? And this is one of the many. This is just, this is just a disease, that's taking place amongst animals, man. The Lord is behind all of the plagues, all of the pestilences and sicknesses in the world. Okay, the Lord's bringing that. Why? For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and the hurtful works are fulfilled. So that's why the Lord's bringing these things, man. Okay? But nevertheless, I want to go into this account real quick before we end off. Okay, in 1 Chronicles, 21st chapter. And just to set the stage, okay, David, did something that he was not supposed to, and he numbered the children of Israel, man. He made a census and counted, the children of Israel, man. And he was, he was not to do that. So, he got in trouble with the Lord, and the Lord, through Gad, okay, one of his men, gave him, all right, 3 choices to choose from, okay, as far as the punishment that he would receive, for his wickedness. All right, so these are the 3 options he was given, and this is what the Lord did. Now, this is 1 Chronicles 21 and 11. So Gad came to David and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, choose thee either 3 years of famine, or 3 months to be destroyed before thy foes, while that the sword of thine enemies overtaketh thee. So David had to either choose 3 years of famine, right, shortage of food and water, right, or to be destroyed by his enemies and taken by the heathen, right, or else 3 days of the sword of the Lord, even the pestilence in the land, and the angel of the Lord destroying throughout all the coast of Israel. Now therefore advise thyself what word I shall bring again to him that sent me. And David said unto Gad, I am in a great strait. Let me fall now into the hand of the Lord, for very great are his mercies. But let me not fall into the hand of men. So it's better to fall into the hand of the Lord than to fall into the hands, of the heathen, into the hands of men, right? Unmerciful, right? Not merciful like the Lord. So the Lord sent pestilence upon Israel, and there fell of Israel 70,000 men. Just bringing this out once again, because it just shows that the Lord is behind, these things that happen, man. Everything that happens, especially a pestilence, right? And this pestilence, in particular, killed 70,000 men. Okay, so the Lord has sent pestilence before, disease and sickness in the land that caused many great people, or not even just great people, but cause people in general to die, even of his own people, man. So that's a time we're in, man, in which these judgments are going to continue to increase. Okay, and hey, we're gonna see a lot of things, transpire in these end times, man. That's why we need to keep our head on a swivel, watch as well as pray, and beg the Lord that He protect us in these days, man. Because hey, again, this could very well blow up, into something else, and be transferred to humans, which could cause again a whole nother time of the C19, 2.0. So we just have to see, what the Lord wants to do. But hey, I figured through the Spirit. I had a couple articles, man, and this thing is growing. So, hey, what better else to do than to warn, as we were commanded. So hey, with that, I do hope and pray that this lesson was edifying and informative. I'd like to give all praise, honor, and infinite glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rachach. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, our teachers. Shalom to you brothers pushing and teaching this truth. Until next time, Lord's will, I say shalom, stay strong, and keep the faith. Shalom.